She hurt my dog just for fun, and my family is telling me to forgive her because she's only 12. My dog Pepper is a 7-year-old beagle. I got her when I was 10, so we basically grew up together. She's not some fancy trained dog or anything. She just follows me around the house, sleeps on my bed, and gets excited when I come home from school. That's it. That's all she does. My cousin Brianna came to stay with us for spring break. Her mom, my Aunt Kelly, was going through a divorce and needed time to move into a new apartment. Brianna had always been kind of annoying when we saw her at holidays, but I figured a week wouldn't be that bad. First day she got here, she wanted to play with Pepper. I said sure, just be gentle because Pepper's getting older and her back legs aren't great anymore. Brianna rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. That should have been my first clue. On day 3, I came home from soccer practice around 6. I walked into the living room and Pepper was limping. Like really limping, holding up her back right leg. I dropped my bag and kneeled down next to her. She was shaking and wouldn't put any weight on that leg at all. Mom was in the kitchen making dinner. I yelled for her to come to look. Brianna was sitting on the couch playing on her phone like nothing was happening. Mom came in, saw Pepper, and immediately asked what happened. I don't know, I said. I just got home. Mom looked at Brianna. Did something happen while I was cooking? Brianna shrugged. She was running around. Maybe she jumped off the couch wrong. But Pepper never jumps off the couch. Her back legs hurt too much. She always uses the little steps I bought her from the pet store. We took Pepper to the emergency vet. The vet did x-rays and said Pepper had a sprained leg and some bruising on her ribs. She asked if Pepper had fallen downstairs or been in any kind of accident. I said no, she'd been home all day with my cousin. The vet gave us pain meds and said to keep Pepper quiet for 2 weeks. The bill was $340. Mom paid it, but she looked stressed because we just paid for my sister's braces. When we got home, Dad was there. Brianna was still on the couch. Mom asked her again what happened, more serious this time. Brianna said the same thing, that Pepper was just running around. But the next morning, I found something. I was looking for my math textbook and checked under the couch. There was one of those thick rubber dog toys, the kind you fill with treats. Except it had a dent in it, like someone had thrown it really hard against something solid. I showed Mom. She called Brianna downstairs. This time, Brianna's story changed. She said she was trying to play fetch with Pepper and threw the toy, but Pepper wouldn't chase it, so she threw it harder to get Pepper excited. She said maybe it bounced off the wall and hit Pepper by accident. I asked her why she threw it at the wall if Pepper was right there. Brianna went quiet. Then my sister, who's 16 and had been listening from the hallway, said she heard something weird that afternoon. She'd been in her room doing homework and heard a yelping sound, then Brianna laughing. Dad asked Brianna directly if she hit Pepper with the toy. Brianna started crying and said she was just bored and wanted to see if Pepper would react. She threw the toy at Pepper twice because she thought it was funny how Pepper would yelp and try to get away. I stood there staring at her. Mom and Dad were asking her questions, but I couldn't hear them anymore. My dog was upstairs on pain medication because my 12-year-old cousin thought hurting her was entertainment. Aunt Kelly came to pick up Brianna that night. Mom and Dad told her what happened. Aunt Kelly apologized and said Brianna's been acting out because of the divorce. She said Brianna didn't mean to really hurt Pepper. She just doesn't understand her own strength yet. Then Aunt Kelly looked at me and said I should forgive Brianna because she's only 12 and going through a hard time. Dad agreed. He said Brianna's just a kid who made a mistake. Mom said holding a grudge wouldn't help anyone and that Brianna felt really bad about it. But Pepper was still limping. She was still on medication. She still flinched when anyone raised their hand too fast near her. I told them that I'd never forgive any of them if they made me pretend this was okay. My sister suddenly spoke up from the hallway. She said there was something else I needed to know. Everyone turned to look at her. She was holding her phone, hands shaking. She said she'd checked her room's security camera footage from that afternoon because something felt wrong. Her voice cracked. She said Brianna didn't throw the toy twice. She threw it 11 times. The room went silent, like someone had sucked all the air out of it. My sister Ren walked into the living room holding her phone out. Her hand was shaking so bad the screen kept flickering. She'd set up a camera in her room last month after someone kept going through her stuff. She never said anything because she wanted to catch whoever it was red-handed. Turns out it was Brianna, but that's not what the camera caught that afternoon. Mom reached for the phone first. Ren pulled the video up and hit play. I watched my mom's face go from confused to horrified in about 30 seconds. Dad leaned over to look. Even Aunt Kelly moved closer, probably thinking Ren was exaggerating. The camera angle showed Ren's bedroom, but also part of the hallway and a slice of the living room through the doorway. You could see Pepper lying on her dog bed. She wasn't running around. She wasn't playing. She was sleeping. Then Brianna walked into frame. She picked up the rubber toy from the basket by the couch, and she threw it, hard, right at Pepper. Pepper yelped and tried to stand up, but her back legs gave out. Brianna laughed. You could hear it clearly on the video. Then she picked up the toy and threw it again. Pepper tried to hide behind the couch. Brianna followed her and threw it again. And again. Pepper was crying. That's the only way to describe the sound she was making. And Brianna kept throwing the toy, over and over, like she was playing some kind of sick game. At one point, Pepper tried to crawl under the coffee table and Brianna kicked the table out of the way. 11 times. My sister counted out loud as the video played. 11 times Brianna threw that toy at my dog, who couldn't even run away. The video stopped. Ren's battery had died, but we'd all seen enough. I looked at Aunt Kelly. She was white, like all the blood had drained from her face. "That's not," she started. "Brianna wouldn't." "We all just watched it," Ren said. Her voice was cold. "She did." Dad stood up and walked out of the room. I heard him go into the kitchen and slam a cabinet. Mom was still holding Ren's phone, staring at the paused video like if she looked long enough, it would change into something else. "I want her out," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. "I want her out of this house right now." "Brianna already left," Mom whispered. "Kelly took her home an hour ago." "Good. I never want to see her again. Any of you who think I should forgive this can leave too." Mom started crying. "Honey, we didn't know it was that bad. You believed her. You took her side. You told me to forgive her before you even knew what really happened." Ren sat down next to me on the couch. "I should have checked the camera sooner. I heard the yelping, but I thought maybe Pepper was just having a bad dream or something. I'm sorry. I couldn't even be mad at Ren. She'd given us the proof. Without that video, everyone would have kept believing Brianna's lies about Pepper running around and hurting herself." Dad came back in holding his phone. "I called Kelly. Told her not to bring Brianna back here. Ever." "What did she say?" "She hung up on me." We sat there for a while not talking. Pepper limped down the stairs and came over to me. I picked her up carefully and held her. She was still shaking. That night, I sent the video to my own phone before Ren could delete it. I know she wanted to. She kept saying she felt sick watching it, but I needed to have it. Proof, evidence, something to show people when they inevitably told me I was overreacting. Because that's what happened. The very next day, Aunt Kelly called Mom at 7 in the morning. I was getting ready for school and heard Mom's side of the conversation through my bedroom wall. "I understand she's struggling, Kelly, but that doesn't excuse it." Silence. No, I'm not going to tell him that. He has every right to be upset." More silence. "She threw a toy at his dog 11 times, Kelly. We have video." Then Mom's voice got louder. "Don't you dare try to blame this on us. We welcomed your daughter into our home and she hurt an animal for fun. That's not normal behavior." I heard Mom end the call. Then Dad's voice, low and angry. Then nothing. I went downstairs. Both of them were sitting at the kitchen table looking exhausted. Dad was still in his pajamas, even though he had work in an hour. "Your Aunt Kelly thinks we set Brianna up," Mom said when she saw me. "She's claiming Ren edited the video somehow. That we're trying to make Brianna look bad because we never liked her. That's insane." "Yeah, it is." Dad rubbed his eyes. "Kelly's always been like this. Whenever Brianna does something wrong, it's either someone else's fault or it didn't really happen the way people say it did." "Did you know Brianna got expelled from her last school?" Mom asked. Dad's head snapped up. "Kelly just told me. Apparently Brianna broke another kid's art project on purpose, and when the teacher confronted her, she said the kid deserved it for showing off." I thought about the way Brianna had rolled her eyes when I told her to be gentle with Pepper, like I was being ridiculous for caring about my own dog. "Is Brianna going to get in trouble?" I asked. Mom and Dad looked at each other. That look parents give each other when they're trying to decide how much to tell you. "Kelly's taking her to a therapist," Dad finally said. "That's what you told your mom." "That's it? She tortures my dog and gets therapy?" "What do you want us to do?" Dad asked. "Not mean, just tired. We can't press charges against a 12-year-old for being cruel to a dog. Legally, I don't even know if what she did counts as animal abuse since Pepper's injuries aren't permanent. Her leg is sprained, she has bruises." "I know, and I'm furious about it. But Kelly's right about one thing. Brianna is just a kid, a messed up kid who needs professional help." I wanted to scream, but looking at my parents, both of them exhausted and upset, I realized they were trying. They'd kicked Brianna out. They'd confronted Kelly. They believed me. That was more than some parents would do. "I'm not going to any family events if Brianna's there," I said. "Ever." "That's fair," Mom said. "I'll let everyone know." School that day was weird. I couldn't focus on anything. My math teacher asked if I was okay, and I just said I had a headache. During lunch, my best friend Tate asked why I looked so pissed off. I told him what happened. "Your cousin's a psycho," Tate said. He didn't say it to be dramatic. He said it like he was stating a fact. "My parents keep saying she's just a kid going through a hard time." Nah, man. Normal kids going through hard times don't throw stuff at animals 11 times. That's serial killer behavior. I'd been trying not to think about it like that, but Tate was right. There's a difference between a kid being mean once because they're upset and a kid systematically hurting something weaker than them while laughing about it. When I got home, Pepper was still limping, but she seemed a little better. She actually wagged her tail when she saw me. I gave her the pain medication the vet prescribed and sat with her for an hour just petting her and telling her she was a good dog. Ren came home from her after-school job around 6. She worked at the library shelving books. She dropped her backpack and immediately came over to check on Pepper. "How's she doing?" "Better, I think." Still limping, but not as bad as yesterday. Ren sat down on the floor next to us. I deleted the video from my camera, but I know you saved it to your phone. I think you should keep it, just in case. In case of what? In case Aunt Kelly tries to bring Brianna around again, or in case Brianna does something to another animal and someone needs proof that she has a history. I hadn't thought about it that way. You really think she'd hurt another animal? I think people who enjoy hurting things don't just stop because they get caught once. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Brianna's face on that video. She wasn't angry or crying or upset. She was smiling, like hurting Pepper was the most fun she'd had in weeks. Around midnight, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Brianna. I'm sorry about your dog. My mom made me apologize." I stared at that message for a full minute, then I blocked the number. 2 days later, my phone rang during breakfast. It was my grandmother, Mom's mom. I answered because I actually liked my grandma. "Your mother told me what happened with Brianna and your dog," Grandma said. "I want you to know that I think you're handling this very maturely." "Thanks, Grandma. But I also want to tell you something that might be hard to hear. Kelly called me yesterday. She's very upset. She thinks your family is being too harsh on Brianna." I didn't say anything. I told Kelly that Brianna hurt an innocent animal on purpose and that has consequences. But Kelly thinks Brianna just made a mistake and everyone's being cruel by shutting her out. "Did you see the video?" I asked Chani. "Your mother sent it to me." "Yes, it made me feel sick." "Then you know it wasn't a mistake." "I do know that. But Kelly's my daughter, and she's going through a very difficult time with the divorce. She's not thinking clearly. She wants me to convince your parents to give Brianna another chance." "No." I told her no as well, but I wanted you to know that there's going to be pressure from Kelly's side of the family. Some of them think you're all overreacting. Have they seen the video? Kelly won't show it to them. She's telling everyone that Ren edited it to make Brianna look worse than she was. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Can you send the video to them? So they know the truth?" Grandma was quiet for a moment. "If it comes to that, yes. But right now, I think it's better to let things cool down." Kelly's talking about taking legal action for defamation. Legal action? For what? She's saying that by sharing the video and telling people what Brianna did, your family is damaging Brianna's reputation and causing her emotional distress. I almost laughed. Brianna damaged her own reputation by torturing my dog. "I know, sweetheart. I'm just warning you that this might get uglier before it gets better." Kelly's backed into a corner and she's not handling it well. After I hung up, I told my parents what Grandma said. Dad looked worried. Mom looked angry. "Let her try to sue us," Mom said. "We have video evidence of exactly what happened. Any judge would throw it out." But I could tell Dad wasn't so sure. He spent the rest of the morning on the phone with someone. Later, I found out it was a lawyer. Just checking our options in case Aunt Kelly actually tried something. The weekend came. Normally, we'd go to my other grandmother's house for Sunday dinner, Dad's mom. But Dad called and canceled. He said there was too much family drama right now and we needed space. Pepper was walking better. Still careful with her back leg, but improving. The vet had said 2 weeks of rest and she'd probably be fine. I was counting down the days. On Monday, I got called to the principal's office. My stomach dropped. I hadn't done anything wrong, but getting called to the office is never good. Principal Vance was sitting behind his desk when I walked in. So was the school counselor, Mrs. Odom. They both looked concerned. "Have a seat," Principal Vance said. "We wanted to check in with you. We got a call this morning from your Aunt Kelly. She's concerned about your mental health." I just stared at him. "She said you've been making accusations against your cousin Brianna, and that your family is encouraging you to hold a grudge against a child who made an honest mistake. She thinks you might benefit from talking to someone about managing anger and forgiveness." Mrs. Odom leaned forward. "Is everything okay at home? Your aunt seemed very worried about you." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Aunt Kelly had actually called my school to make me look like the problem. "My cousin hurt my dog on purpose," I said. My voice came out flat. "We have video evidence. She threw a toy at my dog 11 times while my dog was trying to hide. My dog had to go to the emergency vet. That's what happened." Principal Vance and Mrs. Odom exchanged glances. "Do your parents know about this?" Mrs. Odom asked. "My parents are the ones who took my dog to the vet. My whole family knows what happened. My aunt is lying because she doesn't want to admit her daughter did something wrong." Principal Vance nodded slowly. "Thank you for being honest with us. We'll give your parents a call to get their perspective. If what you're saying is accurate, then we won't need to take this any further. Can I go back to class?" "Of course. And if you do want to talk to Mrs. Odom about anything, her door is always open." I left the office feeling numb. Aunt Kelly was actually trying to turn me into the villain. She'd called my school to make it seem like I was the one with problems. Mom picked me up after school that day instead of me taking the bus. She looked furious. "Your principal called me," she said as soon as I got in the car. I explained exactly what happened, showed him the video. He apologized for bothering us and said Kelly had sounded very convincing on the phone. Is she going to get in trouble for lying? The principal said he'd note in the system that Kelly's call was based on false information. If she tries to contact the school about you again, they'll know to ignore her. We drove in silence for a few minutes. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, Mom said finally. Kelly's spiraling. Your dad's lawyer friend said what she's doing could be considered harassment, but unless she escalates further, there's not much we can do. Why is she like this? Mom sighed. I think Kelly's whole identity has always been wrapped up in being a good mother. Admitting that Brianna did something this bad means admitting she failed somehow. So instead, she's rewriting the story to make everyone else the bad guys. That made sense in a sad kind of way, but it didn't make it okay. The next few weeks were tense. Aunt Kelly stopped calling our house, but I'd hear Mom on the phone with other relatives explaining what happened. Some of them believed us. Some of them thought we were being too hard on Brianna. One of my uncles even said that kids hurt animals all the time, and it's not that serious. I stopped going to family events. When Mom's birthday came around and Grandma wanted to throw her a party, I said I'd only come if Aunt Kelly and Brianna weren't there. Grandma agreed, but I could tell she was sad about it. Pepper eventually recovered. Her leg stopped hurting, and she went back to her normal routine of following me around and sleeping on my bed. But she was different, more nervous. She'd flinch if someone moved too fast near her. If she heard loud noises, she'd immediately run to me for protection. Tate's family had a beagle too. I'd taken Pepper over there dozens of times for playdates. But after what happened with Brianna, Pepper wouldn't leave my side when we visited. She'd just sit pressed against my leg, shaking. Eventually, I stopped bringing her over because it seemed to stress her out too much. One night, about a month after everything happened, I was lying in bed with Pepper curled up next to me. Dad knocked on my door and came in. Can we talk? Sure. He sat down on the edge of my bed. I want you to know that your mom and I are really proud of how you've handled this situation. A lot of kids your age would have lashed out or done something stupid for revenge. You've been mature and reasonable. I just want people to stop telling me to forgive her. I know. And I'm sorry we didn't believe you right away. We should have pushed harder for the truth from the beginning instead of taking Brianna's word for it. That actually meant something. Hearing Dad admit they'd messed up. Kelly's spreading rumors, Dad continued, saying we're keeping her from seeing Brianna, that we're poisoning the family against her. Your grandmother's been fielding calls from relatives we haven't talked to in years, all of them wanting to know what's really going on. What does Grandma tell them? The truth. Some of them believe her, some don't. That's life. But I wanted you to know that no matter what Kelly says or does, we have your back. And Pepper's. She's family too. After Dad left, I pulled up the video on my phone. I'd watched it maybe 3 times since Ren first showed it to us. Each time made me feel sick. But I needed to remember why I was refusing to forgive Brianna. Because it wasn't just about a kid making one mistake. It was about systematic cruelty. 11 times. While Pepper cried and tried to hide, some things don't deserve forgiveness. The next day after school, I was walking Pepper around the neighborhood when a car pulled up next to us. My stomach dropped when I saw who was driving. Aunt Kelly. She rolled down her window. Can we talk? She asked. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were red like she'd been crying. No. I kept walking. She drove slowly next to me. Please, just 5 minutes. I need you to understand what you're doing to Brianna. I stopped and turned to face her. Pepper immediately pressed against my legs. I'm not doing anything to Brianna. She did it to herself. She's seeing a therapist now. Do you know what it's like for a 12-year-old to be in therapy? To have to talk to a stranger about why everyone in her family hates her? No one would hate her if she hadn't hurt my dog. Kelly's face hardened. It was an accident that got blown out of proportion. But you and your sister and your parents have turned it into this massive thing. Brianna's depressed now. She cries every night. Her grades are dropping. All because you refused to show her a shred of compassion. I felt my hands starting to shake. She threw a toy at Pepper 11 times, while Pepper was crying and trying to hide. That's not an accident. She's a child who doesn't understand her own strength. The divorce has been traumatic for her. She acted out in an unhealthy way and I'm getting her help for it. But what you're doing, holding this grudge, sharing that video with everyone, telling the whole family not to forgive her, that's cruel. You're being cruel to a little girl who's suffering. I wanted to tell her about how Pepper still flinched at loud noises, how my dog wouldn't leave my side anymore when we went anywhere, how I'd had nightmares about finding Pepper hurt even worse. But I knew it wouldn't matter. Aunt Kelly had decided on her version of events, and nothing I said would change it. I have to go, I said. Just think about what kind of person you want to be. Kelly called after me. Someone who holds a grudge against a child going through a divorce? Or someone who shows mercy and understanding? I didn't answer. I just walked home with Pepper pressed against my leg, both of us shaking. When I told my parents what happened, Dad looked ready to explode. Mom got on the phone immediately. I heard her tell someone, probably Grandma, that Kelly had approached me without permission and that if it happened again, we'd get a restraining order. That night, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. I kept playing Kelly's words over in my head. Was I being cruel? Was I holding on to anger that was hurting everyone, including myself? Then I looked down at Pepper, curled up next to me in the dark, and I remembered the video The sound of her crying, the way she tried to crawl under the coffee table to escape, Brianna's laughter. No, I wasn't being cruel. I was protecting my dog and refusing to pretend that what happened was okay. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over, that Kelly would keep pushing and pushing until something broke. I just didn't know what yet. Update 1. It's been 3 months since everything happened with Brianna. I wasn't going to post another update, but something changed last week that I think people need to hear about. First, the good news. Pepper's completely healed physically. Her leg doesn't hurt anymore and she's back to her normal self around the house. She still gets nervous around strangers and loud noises, but our vet said that's probably permanent trauma, and the best we can do is make her feel safe. The bad news? Aunt Kelly didn't give up. About 6 weeks after the incident, my parents got a letter from a lawyer. Kelly was threatening to sue us for defamation and emotional distress. She claimed we'd shared the video with extended family members specifically to damage Brianna's reputation and cause her psychological harm. Dad's lawyer friend said it was a BS lawsuit that would never hold up in court. The video was factual evidence of what actually happened, and sharing it with family members to explain why we were keeping distance from Brianna wasn't defamation. But just receiving that letter stressed my parents out for weeks. Mom had to take time off work to meet with lawyers. Dad spent money we didn't really have on legal consultations. All because Kelly couldn't accept that her daughter had done something wrong. The lawsuit never went anywhere. After Dad's lawyer sent a response letter explaining why Kelly's case had no merit, we didn't hear anything else about it, but the damage was done. Mom was exhausted. Dad was angry all the time. The stress was eating our family alive. At school, I started hearing whispers. Somehow word had gotten out about what happened. I don't know if Kelly told people in her neighborhood and it spread, or if one of my relatives mentioned it to someone, but by October, kids in my grade were asking me questions. Is it true your cousin's a psycho? Did she really torture your dog? My mom said your family's lying about the whole thing. That last one came from Madison, whose mom was apparently friends with Aunt Kelly. Madison cornered me after gym class and said her mom told her that we'd exaggerated everything to make Brianna look bad. Your cousin was just playing rough, Madison said, but your family's treating her like she's some kind of criminal. That's messed up. Tate stepped in before I could respond. 11 times, Madison. She threw a toy at a dog 11 times while it was crying and trying to hide. That's not playing rough. That's sadistic. Madison rolled her eyes and walked away, but I could tell other kids were listening. The story was out there now, and not everyone believed our version. That night, I told my parents what happened at school. Mom looked devastated. "I'm so sorry," she said. "You shouldn't have to defend yourself to your classmates over this." "Maybe we should just drop it," I said. "Pretend everything's fine so people stop talking about it." "No." Dad's voice was firm. "We're not going to lie or backtrack just because Kelly's spreading her own version of events. What Brianna did was wrong. Period. Anyone who doesn't believe that after seeing the evidence isn't worth worrying about." Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one dealing with whispers in the hallway. But the worst part was what happened with my extended family. Mom's side, specifically. Every family has drama. But what Kelly did was calculated. She started calling relatives individually, crying about how we'd abandoned Brianna during the hardest time of her life. How we'd turned the whole family against a child who just made one mistake. How she was worried about Brianna's mental health because of how we treated her. And people believed her. Or at least enough people believed her that it caused a rift. My Uncle Ramon, Mom's younger brother, actually came to our house to confront my parents. I was upstairs in my room, but I could hear him yelling in the living room. "She's 12 years old, for Christ's sake, and you're treating her like she's a monster." "She hurt an animal on purpose," Dad said. Multiple times. While it was trying to get away from her. Kids do stupid things. They don't think about consequences. But you've made her a pariah in this family over one incident. "Have you watched the video?" Mom asked. "No, and I don't need to." Kelly explained what happened. Brianna was playing with the dog and got carried away. That's it. That's the whole story. But you've convinced everyone she's some kind of sociopath. Ren came into my room while Uncle Ramon was still downstairs. She looked upset. "This is getting out of control," she whispered. "What do you mean?" "I've been getting messages on Instagram from cousins I barely know. They're all saying we're bullying Brianna, that we should be ashamed of ourselves." I grabbed my phone and checked my own Instagram. Sure enough, there were 3 DMs waiting, all from extended family members, all saying some version of the same thing, that I needed to forgive Brianna and stop holding a grudge. One of them was from Brianna's older brother, who I'd met maybe twice in my life. "My sister made a mistake and you're destroying her life over it. You should be ashamed. Kids her age don't understand consequences. Show some compassion." I blocked him. Then I blocked everyone else who'd sent me messages. But my hands were shaking while I did it. "They're acting like we did something to her," I told Ren. "Like we're the bad guys." That's what Kelly's been telling them. And they believe her because it's easier than admitting that Brianna did something really messed up. Uncle Ramon left after Dad told him to watch the video before making any more judgments. We never heard from him again. I don't know if he watched it or not, but he stopped calling Mom. At Thanksgiving, things came to a head. Normally, our extended family does a big Thanksgiving dinner at Grandma's house. Everyone brings a dish, and we spend the day eating and watching football and pretending to like each other. This year, Grandma called my parents a week before and said she needed to talk to them. I wasn't supposed to hear the conversation, but Mom put Grandma on speakerphone in the kitchen, and I was in the living room around the corner. Kelly's insisting that she and Brianna should be included in Thanksgiving dinner, Grandma said. She sounded tired. She's saying that family is supposed to forgive and move forward. Mom, you know what happened, my mom said. I do. And I told Kelly that you have every right to keep distance from Brianna after what she did. But Kelly's saying that if you refuse to be in the same room as Brianna, then you're choosing to skip Thanksgiving. She won't stay away. There was a long silence. So Kelly gets to come to Thanksgiving and we don't? Dad asked. I'm not saying that. I'm asking if there's any way we can all be adults about this and coexist for one afternoon. Brianna heard our son's dog 11 times while it cried and tried to hide, Mom said. Her voice was shaking. And Kelly's been harassing us for months trying to force us to pretend it never happened. Now you're asking us to sit at a table with them and act like everything's fine? I'm asking if there's any chance of healing this family. The family can heal when Kelly stops lying about what her daughter did and takes responsibility for it, Grandma sighed. Then I guess you won't be coming to Thanksgiving. Mom hung up. I heard her start crying in the kitchen. Dad was saying something to her in a low voice. I stayed where I was, feeling like I'd just watched something break that couldn't be fixed. We ended up having Thanksgiving at home, just the four of us. Mom made a turkey and stuffing and tried to act like everything was normal, but I could tell she was sad. She kept checking her phone like maybe Grandma would call and say it was all a misunderstanding. The call never came. Instead, I saw on Instagram that Thanksgiving at Grandma's had happened without us. There were photos of the whole family gathered around the table. Aunt Kelly smiling next to Brianna. Uncle Ramon with his arm around Kelly like he was protecting her. Even some cousins I actually liked were there, looking happy. And we weren't. We'd been cut out. Ren saw the photos too. She came into my room that night looking furious. This is so messed up, she said. They're acting like Kelly's the victim, like Brianna did nothing wrong. Maybe she didn't, I said. I didn't believe it, but I was so tired of fighting. Maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. Don't do that. Ren grabbed my phone and pulled up the video. Don't you dare start second-guessing what happened. We have proof. This isn't some he said, she said situation. We literally have video evidence of Brianna torturing Pepper while laughing about it. She was right. But watching my family gather without us, seeing Kelly play the victim while we got shut out, it made me wonder if being right was worth losing everyone. I just want it to be over, I said. It won't be over until Kelly admits what Brianna did, and she's never going to do that. So we just have to accept that half our family believes her lies. The next Monday at school, something happened that changed everything. I was eating lunch with Tate when Vice Principal Henderson came over to our table. He asked if I could come with him to his office. Tate gave me a worried look, but I just shrugged and followed Henderson. In his office, there was a woman I didn't recognize. She was maybe 30, wearing a blazer and holding a folder. This is Ms. Kowalski, Henderson said. She's with Child Protective Services. My stomach dropped. We got a call last week, Ms. Kowalski said. She had a kind face, but her voice was all business. Someone reported concerns about your home environment. They said you were being encouraged to hold inappropriate grudges and that your parents were alienating you from family members as a form of emotional abuse. I just stared at her. I want to be clear that we take all reports seriously, she continued. But I've spoken with your parents, your teachers, and Vice Principal Henderson. Everyone says you're a well-adjusted kid from a stable home. Can you tell me in your own words what's been going on with your cousin Brianna? So I told her everything. About Pepper, the video, Aunt Kelly's reaction, the lawsuit threat, the family divide. Ms. Kowalski listened without interrupting. She took notes, but mostly just let me talk. When I finished, she closed her folder. Thank you for being honest with me. Based on everything I've heard and seen, there's no evidence of abuse or emotional manipulation in your home. Your parents are protecting you and your pet from someone who harmed an animal. That's appropriate parenting, not alienation. Who called you? She hesitated. I can't share that information, but I can tell you that the person who made the report had a very different version of events than what the evidence supports. It was Kelly. It had to be. She'd actually called CPS on my parents because we wouldn't forgive Brianna. Ms. Kowalski left after reassuring Vice Principal Henderson that there were no concerns about my welfare. Henderson walked me back to the cafeteria, but lunch period was almost over. That must have been scary, he said. It's fine. If you need to talk to the school counselor about any of this family stress, Mrs. Odom is available. I nodded, but I knew I wouldn't. What was there to say? My aunt was trying to destroy my family because her daughter hurt my dog and she couldn't admit it. No amount of counseling would fix that. When I got home that afternoon, Mom was on the phone with Dad. She was pacing around the kitchen, her voice high and stressed. P.S. came to my workplace, Dan. They questioned me in front of my coworkers. Do you know how humiliating that was? I couldn't hear Dad's response. I know. The caseworker said there was nothing to the complaint, but everyone at work was staring at me, wondering what I did wrong to have CPS show up. Mom saw me and lowered her voice. Your son just got home. I'll call you back. She hung up and tried to smile, but her eyes were red. Ms. Kowalski came to your work too? I asked. Standard procedure. They have to interview parents separately when there's a complaint. She was very nice about it. Said she could tell immediately that the report was false. But still, Mom's voice cracked. Kelly called CPS on us because we wouldn't let Brianna come to Thanksgiving. How do you know it was Kelly? Because Ms. Kowalski said the person who called claimed we were alienating you from your extended family and encouraging you to hold grudges against your cousin. Who else would say that? We stood there in the kitchen, not saying anything. Pepper came over and nuzzled my leg. I picked her up carefully and held her. This has to stop, I said. I know. Your dad's talking to his lawyer friend right now. We might be able to get a restraining order based on Kelly's pattern of harassment. But I wasn't talking about getting legal protection. I was talking about something else. Something that had been building in my head for weeks. I want to post the video publicly, I said. Mom's face went pale. What? Everyone's acting like we're lying. Like we exaggerated what happened or we're holding some ridiculous grudge. If I post the video where everyone can see it, they'll know the truth. Absolutely not. Mom's voice was firm. That video shows a minor doing something terrible. Posting it online could have serious legal consequences. But it's the truth. I know, honey, but there are some battles you can't win by exposing people. Kelly would sue us for real if you did that, and she might actually have a case, because Brianna's face is visible in the video. I knew Mom was right, but I was so tired of being the one who had to take the high road while Kelly lied and manipulated and turned our family against us. That weekend, something unexpected happened. Grandma showed up at our house unannounced. She was carrying a casserole dish and looked like she'd been crying. Can I come in? She asked. Mom opened the door wider and Grandma walked in. She set the casserole on the kitchen counter and then just stood there looking at all of us. I owe you an apology, she said finally. I've been trying to keep the peace between you and Kelly, trying to stay neutral. But Kelly crossed a line when she called CPS. That's not trying to protect Brianna, that's vindictive. Did she tell you she called? Dad asked. She bragged about it. Called me yesterday and said she'd reported you for emotional abuse because you're poisoning your son against Brianna. Grandma's hands were shaking. I told her that what she did was wrong, that CPS is for children who are actually being abused, not for settling family disputes. We had a terrible fight. She hung up on me. Grandma sat down at the kitchen table. I watched the video again this morning. I've seen it before, but I made myself watch it 3 more times. Really watch it, and I can't. She started crying. I can't defend Brianna anymore. What she did was cruel, and Kelly's reaction has been worse. Mom sat down next to Grandma and put her arm around her. It's not your fault. I let Kelly manipulate me. She's been calling me every day for months, crying about how you've all abandoned her and Brianna, about how Brianna's depressed and struggling in school, about how the divorce is hard enough without losing her whole family. I believed her because I wanted to believe that families can forgive anything, but there's a difference between forgiveness and enabling. What happened at Thanksgiving? Ren asked. She'd been sitting on the stairs listening. Kelly spent the whole day playing the victim. Every conversation somehow turned into how hurt she was that you weren't there. How Brianna cried herself to sleep every night because her cousin wouldn't forgive her. Some people believed her. Others were uncomfortable but didn't say anything. And I just let it happen. You couldn't have known, Dad said. I should have. I raised Kelly. I know how she gets when she feels backed into a corner. Grandma wiped her eyes. I'm not asking you to forgive Brianna. I'm not asking you to have a relationship with Kelly. I just wanted you to know that I believe you. And I'm sorry it took me this long to say it out loud. After Grandma left, Mom hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. It's going to be okay, she whispered. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but we're going to get through this. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Kelly wasn't done, that she'd keep escalating until something broke. I was right. The next Tuesday, I came home from school to find police cars in our driveway. My heart was pounding as I walked up to the house. Mom was standing on the front porch talking to 2 officers. When she saw me, she looked relieved. That's my son, she said. One of the officers turned to me. We got a call about a stolen dog. Your Aunt Kelly Prescott claims that your family is keeping her daughter's emotional support animal and refusing to return it. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. What? She says the dog, a beagle named Pepper, belongs to her daughter Brianna. That she lent the dog to your family temporarily and now you won't give it back. Pepper's my dog, I said. My voice came out louder than I meant it to. I've had her for 7 years. Since I was 10. She's not Brianna's dog. The officer looked at his notes. Do you have proof of ownership? Registration papers? Vet records? All of our vet records have our name on them, Mom said. Pepper's microchip is registered to us. We can show you receipts going back years. The other officer, a woman with short gray hair, looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, we have to follow up on these calls. But between you and me, this feels like a family dispute that's being handled the wrong way. My sister-in-law is harassing us," Mom said. Her voice was shaking. "She's made false reports to CPS. She's threatened legal action, and now she's filed a false police report about a stolen dog. At what point can we get protection from her?" The first officer wrote something in his notebook. "If you feel you're being harassed, you can file for a restraining order. We'll note in our report that Ms. Zu Prescott's claim appears to be false based on the evidence of ownership you've provided." After the police left, I went upstairs and locked my door. I could hear Mom on the phone with Dad, her voice rising. "She filed a police report, Dan. A false police report over a dog that isn't even hers." I sat on my bed with Pepper in my lap, trying to process what had just happened. Kelly had actually tried to get the police to take my dog away, as revenge for not forgiving Brianna. That night, Dad came home with paperwork for a restraining order. We spent 2 hours filling it out, listing every incident: the threatening phone call at my school, the CPS report, the false police report, the pattern of harassment. "This should have been done weeks ago," Dad said. He looked exhausted. "I kept hoping Kelly would calm down and we could handle this as a family, but she's escalated to the point where we need legal protection." The restraining order hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, we were advised not to have any contact with Aunt Kelly or Brianna. Not that I wanted to anyway. School got harder. Madison and her friends had apparently heard about the police showing up at our house. They started spreading rumors that we'd stolen Brianna's dog, and that's why she'd been so upset. "My mom said your family are animal thieves," Madison said loudly in the hallway between classes. "That you took your cousin's therapy dog and won't give it back." Tate got in Madison's face. "Your mom's an idiot. Pepper's been their dog for 7 years. Kelly's lying." "Then why did the police show up at their house?" "Because Kelly filed a false report, which is illegal, by the way." Madison rolled her eyes and walked away, but I could see other kids whispering. The story was spreading, and once again, Kelly's version was the one people were hearing. That night, I did something stupid. I created a burner Instagram account, anonymous, and I posted a written summary of everything that had happened. The initial incident with Pepper, the video evidence, Kelly's escalating harassment, the false CPS report, the false police report. I didn't post the actual video. I knew that would be going too far legally, but I posted a detailed timeline with screenshots of text messages from Kelly and social media posts showing how she'd been playing the victim. Then I tagged everyone in our extended family. The response was immediate. Within an hour, I had dozens of messages. Some supportive, some angry, some confused. A few relatives who'd believed Kelly's version finally understood what had really happened. Uncle Ramon sent a DM. "Is this true? All of it?" I responded from the burner account. "Yes, we have evidence for everything listed. I owe your parents an apology. Kelly told me you'd made up most of this to justify holding a grudge. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten, but not everyone believed me, even with the evidence. Some relatives accused me of cyberbullying Brianna, of making a private family matter public just to make Kelly look bad, of being vindictive and cruel. Brianna's brother sent me a threatening DM. "I know this is you. Delete this right now or I'll report you for online harassment." I logged out of the burner account and deleted the app, but the damage, or maybe the truth, was already out there. People had screenshotted my post. They were sharing it in family group chats. The whole extended family was fighting about it. When Mom found out what I'd done, she wasn't even mad. She just looked sad. "I understand why you did it," she said, "but you've opened yourself up to more attacks from Kelly. She's going to claim you're cyberbullying Brianna." I didn't use Brianna's name. I didn't post the video. I just posted facts. I know, but Kelly won't see it that way. She was right. 2 days later, we got a cease and desist letter from a lawyer. Kelly was demanding that we remove all posts about Brianna from social media, stop discussing the incident with family members, and issue a public apology for defaming a minor. Dad's lawyer friend responded with a letter explaining that truth is a defense against defamation, and that we had documentation to support every claim that had been made. But the legal fees were adding up. We'd already spent over $1,000 just responding to Kelly's various threats. "This is bankrupting us," I heard Dad tell Mom one night. "We can't afford to keep fighting her legally. What choice do we have? She's not going to stop. Maybe we should just move. Start over somewhere else where Kelly can't reach us." I felt sick hearing that. The idea that we might have to move, that I might have to leave my school and my friends and my whole life, because Aunt Kelly couldn't accept what her daughter had done. But before anything else could happen, Brianna did something that changed everything. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I was at soccer practice when Mom called my coach and said she needed to pick me up immediately. She looked pale when I got to the car. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Brianna's in the hospital." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "She tried to hurt herself. Kelly found her in the bathroom." Mom's voice was shaking. "Kelly called your grandmother hysterical, saying that our family drove Brianna to this. That if Brianna dies, it's our fault. I felt numb. Is she okay? She's stable. The doctors are keeping her for observation and putting her in a psychiatric program. Mom pulled over in a parking lot and put her head on the steering wheel. Kelly's telling everyone this is because of us. Because we wouldn't forgive her, because we posted things about her online. Because we made her feel like a monster. But that's not why she… I couldn't finish the sentence. I don't know why she did it, but Kelly's going to blame us regardless. When we got home, Ren was already there. She showed me her phone. The family group chat was exploding. How could you do this to a child? Your grudge almost killed her. I hope you're happy now. Even relatives who'd been sympathetic to us before were now questioning whether we'd taken things too far, whether our refusal to forgive had pushed a troubled kid over the edge. This is so messed up, Ren said. Brianna hurt Pepper. Kelly spent months harassing us, and now somehow we're responsible for Brianna's mental health crisis? Dad came home early from work. He called a family meeting in the living room. I've been in touch with Grandma, he said. She's at the hospital with Kelly now. The doctors are saying Brianna's been struggling with depression and impulse control issues for months, possibly longer. This isn't about us. This isn't about Pepper. Brianna needs serious professional help. Kelly's not going to see it that way, Mom said. No, she's not. But we need to be clear about something. What happened to Brianna is tragic, but it's not our fault. We didn't hurt her. We protected ourselves and our pet from someone who'd harmed an animal. Those are two separate issues. I wanted to believe that. But looking at the messages pouring in on the family group chat, I knew most people wouldn't see it that way. They'd see a 12-year-old in the hospital and a family who'd refused to forgive her. The optics were terrible. The next few days were a nightmare. Kelly posted on Facebook about how family rejection had driven her daughter to a dark place. She didn't name us directly, but everyone knew who she was talking about. The post got hundreds of comments, most of them sympathetic to Kelly, praying for you and your daughter. Some people don't understand what it means to be family. Kids make mistakes. Real family forgives. A few people pushed back, reminded everyone that there was another side to the story, but they were drowned out by the wave of support for Kelly. At school, Madison cornered me at my locker. Your cousin's in the hospital because of you, she said. I hope you feel good about yourself. I didn't respond. What could I say? My mom's right. Your family are horrible people. Brianna made one mistake and you've been torturing her for months. And now she's so depressed she tried to kill herself. Tate showed up and got between us. Back off, Madison. You don't know what you're talking about. Everyone knows what happened. It's all over Facebook. Yeah, Kelly's version is all over Facebook. The truth is a little different. Madison walked away, but she made sure to spread her version to everyone who'd listen. By the end of the week, half my grade thought I was responsible for my cousin's suicide attempt. The restraining order hearing got postponed because of Brianna's hospitalization. The judge said it wouldn't be appropriate to proceed while the family was in crisis. Dad's lawyer argued that the crisis was exactly why we needed the restraining order, but the judge wasn't convinced. So we were stuck, unable to get legal protection, unable to defend ourselves publicly without looking like monsters, unable to move forward. Grandma came over on Saturday. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in a week. Brianna's being released from the hospital tomorrow, she said. She'll be in an outpatient program, daily therapy sessions and medication. How is she? Mom asked. Scared, confused. The therapist said she's been dealing with emotional regulation issues that predate the incident with Pepper. The divorce triggered something in her. And then when the family conflict happened, she didn't have the tools to process it in a healthy way. Does Kelly understand that? Dad asked. Grandma shook her head. Kelly's convinced that if you'd all just forgiven Brianna from the start, none of this would have happened. She's not wrong that the family conflict made things worse, but she can't see her own role in escalating everything. So what happens now? Now Brianna gets help, real help. And Kelly needs to accept that she can't fix this by blaming everyone else. But Kelly didn't accept that. Instead, she doubled down. 2 weeks after Brianna got out of the hospital, we got another letter from her lawyer, this time threatening to sue us for intentional infliction of emotional distress, claiming that our continued refusal to reconcile with Brianna, combined with the social media posts and family alienation, had directly caused her suicide attempt. Dad's lawyer said the case was still ridiculous, but it would be expensive to defend. We'd have to hire an actual attorney, not just get advice from Dad's friend. We were looking at thousands of dollars in legal fees, maybe tens of thousands if it actually went to trial. We can't afford this, Dad said. He was sitting at the kitchen table with bills spread out in front of him. Even if we win, the cost of defending ourselves will destroy us financially. What are our options? Mom asked. We can try to settle, agree to some kind of mediation where we all sit down and try to reach an understanding. Or we can fight it and hope Kelly runs out of money before we do. I don't want to mediate with Kelly, I said. She's never going to admit what Brianna did. She's just going to blame us for everything. I know, but we might not have a choice. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Brianna in the hospital, about Kelly's Facebook post, about the legal bills piling up. About Madison telling everyone at school that I'd driven my cousin to attempt suicide. I thought about deleting the burner Instagram account I'd made, removing all evidence that I'd posted about what happened. But it was too late for that. The screenshots were already out there. The damage was done. Around 2 in the morning, I got up and went downstairs. Dad was still awake, sitting in the dark living room with his laptop. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. I sat down next to him. "This is my fault. If I'd just forgiven Brianna like everyone wanted, none of this would have happened." "Stop. This is not your fault. Brianna hurt Pepper. Kelly refused to hold her accountable. That's what started all of this. But maybe if I'd been more understanding, if I'd tried to see things from Brianna's perspective. You're a kid. A kid whose pet was hurt by another kid. You're not responsible for managing everyone's emotions or preventing a mental health crisis. That's on the adults. That's on Kelly. But everyone thinks it's my fault." Dad closed his laptop and turned to face me. "I know it feels that way. But the people who matter, the people who've actually seen the evidence and understand what happened, they know the truth. Everyone else is just reacting to Kelly's manipulation. What if the judge doesn't see it that way? What if we lose the lawsuit? Then we lose the lawsuit. We'll figure it out. But we're not going to lie or apologize for protecting you and Pepper just because Kelly's threatening us." I wanted to believe him. But sitting there in the dark, watching Dad's face in the glow of his laptop screen, I could see how tired he was, how stressed, how this whole situation was breaking our family apart. And I couldn't help but think that maybe Madison was right. Maybe I should have just forgiven Brianna. Maybe holding on to this anger wasn't worth what it was costing all of us. But then I thought about Pepper, about the sound she made on that video, about the way she still flinched at loud noises. About 11 times. 11 times Brianna had thrown that toy while Pepper cried and tried to hide. No, I wasn't wrong to protect my dog. I wasn't wrong to refuse to pretend that what happened was okay. But I was starting to understand that being right doesn't always mean you win. Sometimes being right just means you get to watch everything fall apart knowing you did nothing wrong. And that's its own kind of hell. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update. I'm not sure anyone's still following this, but I need to get this out somewhere. The lawsuit happened. We ended up in mediation after all because Dad's lawyer said fighting it in court would bankrupt us. The mediation was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon in March at some generic conference room in a business complex. I had to miss school for it. Mom and Dad made me wear khakis and a button-down shirt like I was going to a funeral. In a way, I guess I was. The funeral of whatever was left of our family relationships. The mediator was this older guy named Mr. Voss, who looked tired before we even started. Kelly and Brianna were already there when we walked in. It was the first time I'd seen either of them in months. Brianna looked different, smaller somehow. She wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. Her hair was shorter and she had dark circles under her eyes. Kelly looked angry and defensive, sitting up straight with her arms crossed. Mr. Voss explained how mediation works. Everyone gets to speak. No interruptions. The goal is to find a resolution that everyone can live with. He made it sound so simple. Kelly went first. She spent 20 minutes talking about how hard the divorce had been on Brianna, about how Brianna was struggling with depression and anxiety, about how our family's rejection had made everything worse. She cried while she talked. Real tears this time, not the fake ones I'd seen before. "My daughter tried to take her own life," Kelly said, her voice breaking. "And whether you want to admit it or not, your family's treatment of her played a role in that. You ostracized a 12-year-old over one mistake. You shared information about what happened with extended family members specifically to turn them against her. You refused every attempt at reconciliation." Then it was our turn. Dad spoke first. He was calm but firm. "Brianna didn't make one mistake. She systematically hurt an animal for entertainment. There's video evidence of this. And instead of acknowledging what happened and getting Brianna help immediately, you spent months denying it, making excuses, and harassing our family. You threatened legal action. You called CPS with false reports. You filed a false police report. At every turn, you chose to attack us rather than deal with your daughter's concerning behavior." Kelly started to respond, but Mr. Voss held up his hand. "Let him finish. We're sorry that Brianna is struggling," Dad continued. "But her mental health issues aren't our responsibility. We protected our son and our pet. That's what parents are supposed to do." Then Mr. Voss asked if I wanted to speak. I hadn't planned to. But sitting there, watching Kelly cry and Brianna stare at the floor, I realized I needed to say something. "I loved Pepper since I was 10 years old," I said. My voice came out quieter than I meant it to. She was my best friend, and Brianna hurt her over and over while she was crying and trying to get away. I saw the video. I heard Pepper making those sounds. And everyone keeps telling me I should just forgive Brianna and move on. But nobody's asked Brianna to apologize to Pepper. Nobody's asked her to take responsibility for what she did. It's like Pepper doesn't matter, because she's a dog. But she matters to me. That's when Brianna finally looked up. She was crying too. "I'm sorry," she said. Her voice was so small I almost didn't hear her. "I didn't mean to hurt her that bad. I was just mad about everything with my parents, and I took it out on your dog, and I know that was wrong. It was the first time Brianna had actually acknowledged what she did. Not Kelly speaking for her. Not excuses about being too young to understand. Just Brianna admitting she'd done something wrong. Mr. Voss let that sit for a moment. Then he asked what we each wanted out of this mediation. Kelly said she wanted an apology from our family for the way we'd treated Brianna. She wanted us to agree to stop discussing what happened with other family members. And she wanted us to make an effort to include Brianna in family events again. Dad said we wanted Kelly to drop the lawsuit and agree to leave us alone. No more harassment, no more false reports, no more social media attacks. What about Brianna? Mr. Voss asked me. What do you want? I thought about it. I want Brianna to actually get help. Real help. And I want everyone to stop acting like I'm the bad guy for not forgiving her fast enough. We went back and forth for 2 more hours. Mr. Voss kept trying to find common ground. At one point, he suggested that maybe Brianna could write a letter to Pepper apologizing for what she did. Kelly immediately objected, saying that was ridiculous and demeaning to make a child apologize to an animal. Your daughter hurt that animal on purpose, Mom said. Her voice was ice. The least she can do is acknowledge it in writing. Eventually, we reached an agreement, or at least something we all hated equally, which Mr. Voss said was the sign of a good compromise. Kelly would drop the lawsuit. We would agree not to post about the incident on social media anymore. Brianna would continue therapy and write a letter acknowledging what she did. And both families would agree to maintain distance from each other. No contact except through lawyers if absolutely necessary. It wasn't everything I wanted, but it was something. As we were leaving, Brianna approached me in the parking lot. Kelly tried to stop her, but Brianna pulled away. I really am sorry, she said. I know you don't believe me, but I think about what I did all the time. My therapist says I was acting out because I didn't know how to handle my feelings about the divorce. But that doesn't make it okay. I hurt your dog and I hurt you, and I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to accept the apology and move on. Part of me was still angry. In the end, I just nodded and walked to our car. The letter arrived 2 weeks later. It was handwritten on lined notebook paper. Dear Pepper, it started. I'm sorry for hurting you. I was having a bad time with my family and I took it out on you because you couldn't fight back. That was wrong. You're a good dog and you didn't deserve what I did to you. I hope you're not scared anymore. I hope you can be happy again. I'm working on being a better person so I don't hurt anyone else. Sincerely, Brianna. I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a folder with all the other documentation from this nightmare. The vet bills, the lawyer letters, the screenshots, the evidence. I didn't forgive Brianna. I don't know if I ever will, but I appreciated that she'd finally taken responsibility. Things got quieter after that. Kelly stopped posting on Facebook about us. The family group chat stopped exploding with arguments. We settled into an uneasy peace where everyone just pretended the other side didn't exist. At school, the whispers eventually died down. Madison and her friends found other drama to focus on. Tate stopped having to defend me in hallways. But something had changed in me. I used to think that standing up for what's right meant you'd be vindicated in the end. That the truth would win out and everyone would recognize that you'd done nothing wrong. I know better now. Sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. You can have evidence and witnesses and truth on your side. And people will still blame you. Because the truth is complicated and messy, and it's easier to believe the person crying loudest. Pepper's back to her normal self. Mostly. She still gets nervous around new people. Still flinches sometimes when she shouldn't. But she's happy. She still follows me around the house and sleeps on my bed and gets excited when I come home. Our family's not back to normal. Mom still doesn't talk to half her relatives. Dad's more cynical about family loyalty than he used to be. Ren graduated high school and moved across the country for college, partly because she wanted to get away from all the drama. And me? I'm learning to live with the fact that justice doesn't always look the way you think it should. That protecting something you love sometimes costs you everything else. That being right isn't always enough. Grandma still comes over for dinner once a week. She never mentions Kelly or Brianna unless we ask. She's trying to maintain relationships with both sides of the family divide, which I know is hard for her. Last month, Uncle Ramon reached out to Dad, said he'd seen the video finally, that he owed us an apology. They talked on the phone for over an hour. Ramon said he was sorry for not believing us from the start. Kelly was very convincing, he told Dad. And it was easier to believe her version because the truth was so disturbing. I didn't want to accept that my niece was capable of that kind of cruelty. It felt good to have Ramon believe us finally, but it also felt hollow. Where was the support 6 months ago when we needed it? I turned 18 last month, had a small party with Tate and a few other friends. We played video games and ate pizza, and nobody mentioned family drama. It was nice. Pepper's getting older. She'll be 8 soon. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if Brianna had hurt her worse. If the injuries had been permanent. If we'd lost Pepper because of Brianna's cruelty. I don't think I could have forgiven that. I'm not sure I've really forgiven what did happen. My therapist, yeah, I have one now, says I'm holding on to resentment, that it's affecting my ability to trust people. She's probably right. but I'd rather be cautious and safe than trusting and hurt. Last week, I saw on Instagram that Brianna's doing better. Kelly posted a photo of her at some school event smiling. The caption was about how proud she was of her daughter's resilience and growth. A bunch of relatives commented with heart emojis and encouraging words. Nobody mentioned what Brianna did to get to this point. Nobody acknowledged the animal she hurt or the family she helped tear apart. It was just a nice photo of a girl moving on with her life. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe I'm supposed to be happy that Brianna's getting better, that she's in therapy and taking medication and learning to cope with her issues in healthier ways. But I can't bring myself to feel that generosity because Pepper's the one who paid the price for Brianna's growth. Pepper and my family and my trust in people. So I keep the letter Brianna wrote. I keep all the evidence. Not because I'm planning to do anything with it, but because I need to remember that I wasn't wrong, that I didn't overreact, that what happened was real and serious and worthy of the consequences that followed. Some people say I should let it go, move on, focus on the future instead of dwelling on the past. And maybe they're right. But every time I look at Pepper and see her flinch at a raised hand or hear her whimper in her sleep, I remember. And I know that some things aren't meant to be forgiven. They're just meant to be survived. Update 3. Final. It's been almost a year now since everything started. I wasn't planning on posting again, but something happened last week that I think closes this chapter for good. I'm a senior in high school now. College applications are done and I got into my first choice, a school about 4 hours away. I'll be leaving in August. Tate got into a school nearby, so we'll still be able to hang out on weekends. Pepper turned 8 in January. We had a little party for her with dog-safe cake from the pet store. Just our immediate family and Tate. It was nice. Simple. Pepper seemed happy, which is all that matters. Things with Kelly and Brianna have been quiet since the mediation. We've maintained our distance like we agreed. Occasionally, I'll see photos of Brianna on social media through mutual relatives, but I've learned to scroll past without really looking. Then last Tuesday, I got a Facebook friend request from someone named Brianna Mitchell. Same Brianna, but she'd changed her last name back to her dad's surname after the divorce finalized. I stared at the request for about 5 minutes before declining it. The next day, I got a message from her anyway. Facebook lets you message people even if you're not friends. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, it started, and I'll understand if you don't respond. But my therapist suggested I reach out to people I've hurt and try to make real amends. Not for me, but because they deserve to hear it. The message went on for several paragraphs. She talked about the intensive therapy she'd been in for the past year, how she'd been diagnosed with PTSD from her parents' messy divorce and had developed some really unhealthy coping mechanisms, how hurting Pepper was the worst thing she'd ever done, and she thought about it constantly. I don't expect forgiveness, she wrote. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what I did. Not just that I hurt your dog, but that I hurt you. And I hurt my mom by putting her in a position where she felt like she had to defend something indefensible. The therapist says my mom's response was her own trauma response and not my responsibility, but I still feel guilty about it. She ended with, I hope Pepper's doing okay. I hope you're doing okay. Thank you for reading this if you did. You don't have to respond. I showed the message to my parents. Mom thought I should respond politely and then block her. Dad thought I should just block her without responding. Ren, who was home for spring break, thought I should do whatever felt right to me. I sat with it for 2 days, read and reread the message, tried to figure out if Brianna was being genuine or if this was another manipulation. Finally, I responded. Just 3 sentences. Thank you for apologizing. Pepper's doing well. I hope your therapy continues to help you. Then I blocked her. Not out of anger, but because I needed that chapter closed. I didn't want to get drawn into a back and forth where Brianna tried to rebuild a relationship we'd never really had. But apparently, Brianna took my response as encouragement to reach out to my parents too. She sent an email to my mom apologizing for everything her mom, Kelly, had put our family through. She said she'd recently learned about the CPS call and the false police report and the lawsuit threats. I'm horrified that my actions led to all of that. She wrote to my mom, You opened your home to me when my family was falling apart, and I repaid that kindness by hurting your son's pet and causing months of legal nightmares. I'm so sorry. Mom actually cried reading that email. Not because she forgave Brianna, but because it was the first time anyone from Kelly's side of the family had acknowledged what we'd been through. It doesn't fix anything, Mom said, but it helps. It helps to know that Brianna at least understands now. Then things got complicated again, because Brianna's email to my mom included something else. Information that Kelly probably didn't want us to know. Brianna mentioned that she was living with her dad now, that she'd moved out of Kelly's house after Kelly refused to accept the therapist's recommendation that Brianna needed to take full accountability for what she'd done to Pepper. My mom still says that everyone overreacted and that the family conflict made everything worse, Brianna wrote. She doesn't think what I did was that serious. She thinks I just need to move past it and forget about it. But my therapist says I can't heal if I don't acknowledge the harm I caused. So I chose to live with my dad, who's been really supportive of my recovery. Reading between the lines, it sounded like Brianna had finally started seeing through Kelly's denial and manipulation, and that realization had created a whole new family rift. Part of me felt bad for Kelly. Her daughter had moved out. Her ex-husband was apparently the more supportive parent, and she'd alienated most of her own family through her behavior over the past year. But mostly, I just felt exhausted. This whole situation had consumed so much of my energy and emotion, and I was ready to be done with it. A week after Brianna's emails, Grandma came over for dinner. She seemed lighter somehow, less burdened. "I have some news," she said once we were all seated. "Kelly's moving to Florida. She got a job offer through an old friend, and she's taking it. She'll be gone by the end of the month." Mom and Dad exchanged glances. "Did she say anything about why?" Mom asked. "She told me she needs a fresh start, away from family, away from all the judgment." Grandma paused. I tried to tell her that moving won't fix things if she doesn't address the underlying issues, but she wasn't interested in hearing it. "Is Brianna going with her?" I asked. "No, Brianna's staying here with her father. Kelly will visit a few times a year, but Brianna's settled in her new school and her therapy program. Moving her again would be disruptive." So Kelly was leaving, running away from the mess she'd created. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me just felt sad. This whole thing had been so unnecessary that if Kelly had just admitted from the start that Brianna had done something wrong and needed help, none of the legal battles or family rifts would have happened. But Kelly couldn't do that, and now she was alone, starting over in a different state, probably telling everyone there a version of events where she was the victim. At school, Madison approached me one last time. It was after English class, right before lunch. "I owe you an apology," she said. She looked uncomfortable. "My mom finally told me the whole truth about what happened with your cousin. She'd only heard Kelly's side before. I'm sorry I said those things about you being responsible for Brianna's suicide attempt. That wasn't fair." "Okay," I said. "Are we good?" I thought about it. Madison had spent months making my life harder, spreading rumors, taking Kelly's side without knowing the facts. But she was apologizing now, and she seemed genuine. "We're good," I said finally. "Thanks for saying something." She nodded and walked away. I felt something in my chest loosen, like a knot I'd been carrying for months finally coming undone. That night, I was lying in bed with Pepper curled up next to me when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ren. "Uncle Ramon's been posting about what happened on Facebook, defending us to relatives who still believe Kelly. Thought you should know." I opened Facebook and found Ramon's post. It was long and detailed and completely honest about everything that had happened. He talked about how he'd initially believed Kelly because it was easier than accepting the truth, how he'd watched the video and been horrified, how he'd failed to support his sister and her family when they needed it. "I'm posting this because I think it's important for people to know the truth," he wrote. "Not to shame anyone, but to be accountable for my own failures, and to make it clear that my sister and her family did nothing wrong. They protected their child and their pet from someone who caused harm. That's what good parents do." The comments on Ramon's post were mixed. Some people thanked him for being honest. Others accused him of airing private family business. A few people defended Kelly, saying he was being cruel to her while she was going through a hard time. But more people were supportive than I expected. Relatives I barely knew were commenting that they wished they'd known the full story sooner, that they'd been lied to by Kelly, that they were sorry for taking her side. It felt like vindication, finally, but it also felt hollow. All these people apologizing now, after the damage was done, after we'd spent months being ostracized and blamed and threatened. I showed the post to my parents. Mom was quiet for a long time after reading it. "It's good that people know the truth now," she finally said. "But I don't think I can forgive most of them for not believing us when it mattered." Dad put his arm around her. "You don't have to forgive anyone. We did what we needed to do. That's enough. Graduation's coming up in 2 months." I requested that Kelly and Brianna not be invited to the ceremony. My school has a policy that families in conflict can designate certain people as unwelcome. Brianna wasn't planning to come anyway, but I wanted to make sure Kelly didn't show up and cause a scene. Grandma said she understood. She's coming to graduation, along with Uncle Ramon and a few other relatives who've reconciled with us. It won't be the big extended family celebration some kids get, but it'll be the people who matter. I've been thinking a lot about what I learned from all of this, about how family isn't always the people you're related to. Sometimes family is the people who stand by you when things get hard, who believe you when you tell them the truth, who protect you even when it costs them something.